I recently saw this video of an NBA player collapsing on the court, and I was shocked. Actually, I thought the video was fake at first, but it turns out the video is actually real. The NBA player in question was just 27 years old, in the prime of his NBA career, and he collapsed on the court in the middle of an NBA game. To make matters worse, this NBA player tragically died just 3 months after collapsing on the court. So it makes you wonder what really happened here. This is Reggie Lewis, and this is the story of the NBA All-Star who died on the court. Reggie Lewis grew up in Baltimore, the murder capital of the United States. He was raised by his mother Peggy in a single-parent home. Although Peggy did her best to raise Reggie the right way, she struggled with addiction during his childhood. Reggie would often catch his mum getting high at home. This was obviously a lot to deal with for young Reggie, but it inspired him to make something of himself, so that him and his family could escape this situation. Reggie did the only thing that a kid in Baltimore could do. He started playing basketball. He quickly fell in love with the sport and dedicated his life to the game. Reggie worked on his game every single day and made a name for himself playing for local AAU teams in the Baltimore area. By the time Reggie was in his junior year, he thought he was too good for his high school basketball team, so he decided to try out for Baltimore's most prestigious high school, Dunbar High. Alongside Muggsy Bogues, David Wingate, and Reggie Williams, Reggie became the sixth man of a historically great Dunbar Poets team. Over the next 2 years, the Dunbar Poets didn't lose a single game. Even to this day, they're still considered to be one of the greatest high school teams of all time. 4 of the players, including Reggie, went on to become NBA players, and all had successful basketball careers. Following high school, Reggie was offered a full scholarship to the Northwestern University in Boston, Massachusetts. Since he was the sixth man on the Dunbar Poets team, Reggie came in with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He finally had his opportunity to play in the starting lineup and to prove to everyone that he was good enough for the NBA. Reggie spent 4 years at Northeastern University. He finished his college career averaging 22 points and 8 rebounds per game, proving to the world that he was ready for the NBA. Reggie was picked 22nd overall by the Boston Celtics in the 1997 NBA draft. And just like that, Reggie had finally made it to the NBA. But he didn't do it for himself, he did it for his family. And that was the kind of guy that Reggie was. Before he was drafted to the NBA, Reggie was already famous around the Boston area. But once he joined the Celtics, he became a hometown superstar. Reggie's arrival to the Celtics was a timely one. The aging trio of Larry Bird, Robert Parish, and Kevin McHale left the team looking for their next superstar. And the Celtics experienced a heartbreaking tragedy just the year before Reggie was drafted. In the 1996 NBA draft, the Celtics drafted Len Bias, who scouts thought would be the league's next superstar. Unfortunately, Len tragically died just 3 days after being drafted. The Celtics and the city of Boston were crushed. The day that Reggie was drafted gave them a glimmer of hope, and he quickly became Boston's new hero. Reggie's first NBA contract paid him $400,000, which isn't much by today's standards, but it was enough to get his family out of the projects. Then, Reggie could finally focus on the NBA. In his first season in the league, Reggie only played 8 minutes per game. Although the Celtics star trio of Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parish were aging, they were still all-time greats. So Reggie had to come off the bench again, but only during his rookie season. But he used the opportunity to learn as much as he could from the 3 Celtics legends. In his second season in the league, Larry Bird went down with an injury, and Reggie finally got his time to shine. From this moment on, Reggie would no longer come off the bench and would become a regular starter for the Boston Celtics. On the 31st of March, 1991, Reggie played the most iconic game of his career. The Celtics were playing the Chicago Bulls at home, and Reggie was tasked with defending the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan. To everyone's surprise, Reggie blocked Michael Jordan 4 times during the game. Now, this game put Reggie on the map, and he would go on to become an NBA star. In the 91-92 season, Reggie was named an NBA All-Star and signed a multi-year contract worth millions of dollars. Reggie was recognized as the player taking the torch from Larry Bird and carrying the new Celtics dynasty. Fresh off his All-Star season, Reggie led the Celtics to the playoffs in the 92-93 season. Larry Bird had just retired, so this was a defining season for Reggie and the Celtics. It was Game 1 against the Charlotte Hornets. The energy in the arena was electric. In the second quarter, Reggie was jogging up the court when all of a sudden he just collapsed. He got up looking dazed and confused. The commentators thought Reggie had injured his knee, but after viewing the replay, it was clear that something else was going on. The Celtics thought maybe it was just dehydration or the flu, so they took him out of the game to let him get some rest. Reggie would later go back into the game and scored 17 points, but he was still feeling dizzy and not like himself. The Celtics doctors sent Reggie to the hospital to get checked out after the game. Reggie had a heap of tests done and they found a fatal defect in Reggie's heart. At first, Reggie didn't believe the diagnosis. One minute he was leading the Boston Celtics to the NBA playoffs, and the next he was being told that he might die. So Reggie assembled a team of doctors to get a second opinion and confirm the diagnosis. But the dream team of doctors all agreed on one diagnosis. Reggie was suffering from focal cardiomyopathy, a life-threatening condition to his heart muscle wall. Reggie's doctors told him, "Your basketball career is over." Now, Reggie would travel around the country to get yet another opinion. Different doctors seemed to have different diagnoses, but all agreed that Reggie had a heart condition. However, some doctors thought Reggie could continue to play, and others thought that his basketball career was over. A few weeks went by, and Reggie decided to give basketball another try. He met up with some college friends to play pickup games at a local rec center. Reggie wasn't being reckless at all. By NBA standards, he was taking his workout very easy. But within just 5 minutes, Reggie was feeling breathless, and before he'd even broke a sweat, he crumpled to the floor, gasping for air. Reggie was under cardiac arrest. His friends at the gym were scrambling around for help, trying to find paramedics or even the police or just anyone who knew how to revive him. Reggie was rushed to the hospital, and after doctors worked on him for 2 hours, he was pronounced dead at just 27 years old. The NBA and the city of Boston were devastated by Reggie's death. Over 7,000 people attended his funeral in Boston. Reggie was so much more than a basketball player, and he actually had a real impact on his community. Following Reggie's death, his family got caught up in legal battles over his will and the doctor's diagnosis. It does make you wonder why Reggie would play basketball again though, especially so soon after receiving this diagnosis. The answer to that question is the same thing that motivated him from the beginning: his family. Reggie did all of this for his family. So when it came down to, do I risk my life or take care of my family, Reggie said yes and took that risk. Reggie Lewis's sudden death became one of the greatest tragedies in NBA history, and one that people still feel to this very day. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button as it helps the channel grow, and subscribe for new videos like this one every week.